Maya is days away from her dream wedding, a culmination of a year of loving, detailed planning. The only dark cloud is her sister-in-law, Isabella, who has a history of making every family event about herself. Despite this, Maya is determined to have a perfect day. The perfect day is shattered when Isabella arrives at the ceremony wearing a floor-length, ornate white lace gown. Looking for all the world like a bride herself, the move is a shocking and deliberate act of disrespect. When Maya confronts her, Isabella feigns innocence, gaslighting her by calling the dress winter white and accusing Maya of being a Bridal. The ultimate betrayal comes from Maya's brother, Ethan, who, desperate to avoid conflict, asks Maya to just let it go and not ruin the day, effectively siding with his manipulative wife. Forced to endure her own wedding with a smile plastered on her face while her sister-in-law soaks up the attention, Maya's hurt hardens into a cold resolve. During her honeymoon, an idea forms as a professional graphic designer. She has a unique set of skills. When the official wedding photos arrive, she embarks on a secret, cathartic mission of digital revenge. In every single photo, she uses her expert Photoshop skills to meticulously change the color of Isabella's dress from bridal white to a hideous, sickly pea soup green. The climax arrives at a family gathering to view the wedding photos. Maya presents a slideshow, and as the images appear on screen, the family is first confused, then horrified. Isabella explodes with rage, insisting she never wore such a monstrous color. Maya calmly turns the gaslighting back on her, pretending to be confused by her outburst, before revealing a single, unedited photo as proof of the original transgression. The family is thrown into turmoil, faced with undeniable visual evidence of his wife's malice and his own cowardice. Ethan is forced to reckon with the truth. Maya, having reclaimed her wedding memories on her own terms, establishes a new, unshakable set of boundaries. Her relationship with her brother is fractured, but has a chance to heal on the basis of newfound honesty. She is no longer the peacemaker, but the archivist of her own truth, and her wedding album, with its one glaring, ugly green dress, is a beautiful testament to her victory. The final week before my wedding felt like living inside a snow globe. The world outside was muffled and distant, and inside my little bubble with Noah, everything was sparkling, perfect, and filled with a shimmering, joyful anticipation. Every detail had been planned with the loving, obsessive precision of a graphic designer. The invitations I had designed myself, the stationery, the color palette of blush and sage green. It was all a testament to the life we were building, a life of beauty, balance, and intention. Of course, every snow globe has a small, plastic figure in the center that can't be moved. In my life, that figure was Isabella, my brother Ethan's wife, my sister-in-law. Isabella was a woman who sucked the oxygen out of every room she entered. She wasn't overtly cruel. Her methods were more subtle. The backhanded compliments that felt like tiny paper cuts. The way she would bring up your most embarrassing moments at family dinners under the guise of a funny story. The constant, draining need to be the center of attention. My brother, bless his conflict-avoidant heart, was her willing enabler. That's just Izzy, he'd say with a helpless shrug after she'd made a particularly cutting remark. She doesn't mean anything by it. But she did. Oh, she did. She meant everything by it. I had tried, for Ethan's sake. For years, I smiled through her digs. I hosted her at holidays. I held my tongue. But the wedding felt different. It was my snow globe, and I was terrified she was going to find a way to shake it until it broke. My fears crystallized during a phone call 2 weeks before the big day. I found the perfect dress for your wedding, she'd chirped, her voice dripping with a sweetness I had learned to distrust. Oh, great, I said, forcing enthusiasm. What color is it? There was a slight pause. Oh, you know, it's a neutral, a sort of winter white. My blood ran cold. Isabella, I said, my voice carefully neutral. You can't wear white to my wedding, she laughed, a tinkling, artificial sound. Oh, Maya, don't be so old-fashioned. It's not a bridal gown, it's just a simple, white lace dress. No one would ever mistake me for the bride. The words hung in the air, a direct challenge. No one would ever mistake me for the bride. It was a sentence designed to do exactly the opposite, to plant the image in my head. I'm not comfortable with it, Isabella, I said. My voice firm. Please wear something else. Anything else. Well, I've already bought it, she sighed, her voice shifting into its familiar, martyred tone. It was incredibly expensive, but fine, if you're goin' to be a Bridal about it, I'll see what I can find. She hung up, leaving me shaken. She had called it white lace. She had used the word Bridal. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a declaration of war. And I walked into my wedding week with the sickening feeling that I was heading into an ambush. The morning of my wedding was pure magic. The bridal suite was filled with the scent of hairspray and champagne, the sound of laughter, and the soft rustle of silk. My mother, my bridesmaids, my best friends. We were a fortress of love and support. For a few hours, I forgot about Isabella. I forgot about everything but the man I was about to marry. My dress was perfect. My hair was perfect. My heart was so full I thought it might burst. Then, 10 minutes before the ceremony was due to start, the door to the suite opened, and Isabella walked in. The laughter stopped. The air crackled with a sudden, tense silence. She was wearing it. It wasn't just a white dress. It was a bridal gown, a floor-length, form-fitting, ornate lace confection with a sweetheart neckline and a small, elegant train. It was more elaborate than my own dress. She had her hair swept up in a sophisticated chignon. She wore diamond earrings. She looked radiant. She looked like a bride. My mother was the first to speak. Her voice was a low, dangerous whisper. Isabella, what are you wearing? Isabella gave a theatrical little twirl. It's the winter white dress I told Maya about. Do you like it? She smiled, a wide, innocent smile that didn't reach her cold, triumphant eyes. My maid of honor, Sarah, looked like she was about to physically assault her. My own mother looked like she might faint. I just stared, a strange, cold calm settling over me. The ambush had been sprung. You need to go home and change, I said, my voice devoid of emotion. Isabella's face fell into a mask of wounded innocence. Change. But the ceremony starts in 10 minutes. I don't have anything else to wear, Maya. You're overreacting. It's not white. It's ivory. It's a wedding dress. Isabella, I said flatly. And you are not the bride. Tears welled in her eyes, big crocodile tears. I can't believe you're doing this to me. She sobbed. You're being a total Bridal. You're trying to ruin your own wedding day just to humiliate me. The gaslighting was so audacious, so complete, it was almost impressive. She had detonated a bomb and was now blaming me for the shrapnel. At that moment, my brother Ethan rushed in. Drawn by the commotion, what's going on? We're supposed to be starting. He saw Isabella crying. He saw my face, a mask of stone. He saw the dress. Oh, he said, the single word filled with a weary resignation. Ethan. Tell your sister how she's treating me. Isabella wailed, rushing to his side. She's trying to kick me out of her wedding because she's jealous of my dress. Ethan looked at me, his eyes pleading. Maya, he started. His voice low, come on, it's not a great look, is he? But we're minutes away from starting. Can we please just let it go? For me, don't let this ruin the day. And there it was, the real betrayal, sharper and deeper than any white dress. My own brother, asking me to swallow my own humiliation to protect his wife's feelings. Asking me to be the bigger person on the one day in my life I was supposed to be the only person. I looked at him, at his weak, pleading face, at his wife, smirking triumphantly over his shoulder as she pretended to wipe away her tears. I had never felt so alone in my life. "Fine," I said, the word like a shard of glass in my throat. "Let's go get married." I turned and walked out of the room, my beautiful dress rustling around me. The fortress had been breached, the snow globe was shattered. And I had to walk down the aisle and pretend it was still perfect. I walked down the aisle, on my father's arm, my eyes fixed on Noah. He was standing at the altar, looking handsome and nervous and so full of love for me that it was a physical ache in my chest. He was my safe harbor, the one good, true thing in a world that had suddenly gone sideways. His smile faltered slightly as he saw my face. He knew me, he knew the smile I was wearing was a brittle, fragile thing. He shot a confused look over his shoulder, and I saw his eyes land on my brother and Isabella, seated in the front row. I saw his jaw tighten. / He understood. Maybe not the details, but he understood that a line had been crossed. That small, silent acknowledgement was the only thing that got me through the ceremony. I said my vows in a clear, steady voice. I put his ring on his finger. I kissed my husband, and all the while I was aware of her, a bright, white beacon of malice in my peripheral vision. The reception was worse. Isabella was in her element. She flitted from table to table, accepting compliments on her stunning dress. People who didn't know better thought she was part of the bridal party, perhaps a sister bride in some new, modern tradition. I heard one of Noah's elderly aunts ask her when her own wedding was. "Oh, I'm already married," she'd laughed, gesturing to my brother. I just love weddings so much, I couldn't resist dressing the part. She was basking in it. She was drinking my champagne, eating my food, and soaking up the attention that was supposed to be mine. Ethan followed in her wake, looking miserable and apologetic. Every time he caught my eye, he would give me a little wince, a shrug that said, "I'm sorry, what can I do?" He could have done something. He could have told his wife to go home. He had chosen not to. Noah was my rock. He never left my side. He held my hand, refilled my glass, and steered me away from Isabella's orbit with the quiet, protective grace of a man who loves his wife. "I am going to kill your brother," he whispered in my ear during a slow dance. "Get in line," I whispered back, resting my head on his shoulder, trying to draw strength from him. The wedding photographer, a cheerful young woman named Cassie, was everywhere. She captured the toasts, the cake cutting, the first dance. And she captured Isabella in the family portraits. There she was, standing right next to me. A vision in white lace, two brides. It was a visual nightmare. Every click of Cassie's camera felt like another drop of poison. I survived the night. I smiled, I danced. I thanked my guests. I played the part of the happy bride. But underneath the silken tulle, a cold, hard knot of rage was forming in my gut. A quiet, patient, methodical rage. Isabella thought she had won. She thought her victory was being permanently etched into the official record of my wedding day. She thought I would spend the rest of my life looking at these photos and seeing her triumphant in her white dress. She was right about one thing. I would be looking at these photos, but the story they told was not going to be hers. It was going to be mine. Our honeymoon in Italy was supposed to be 2 weeks of pasta, wine, and romance. It was all of those things. But it was also a 14-day cool-down period for a rage that had been forged in the fires of wedding day hell. As we sat on a balcony overlooking Lake Como, a glass of Prosecco in my hand, I couldn't stop replaying it. The white dress, the fake tears, my brother's weak, pleading face. "It's not fair," I said to Noah for the 100th time. "She gets to ruin the memory of my wedding, and she gets away with it." "It's not fair," Noah took my hand. I know, and when we get home, I'm having a long talk with Ethan, but you can't let her live rent-free in your head. Maya, especially not in a place this beautiful. He was right, but the injustice of it was a bitter pill. She had deliberately tainted my memories, hijacked my photos. My wedding album would forever be a testament to her victory. And then, an idea so simple, so elegant, so perfectly, deliciously vindictive that I almost laughed out loud. / What is it? Noah asked, seeing the look on my face. She hijacked my photos, I said slowly, a slow smile spreading across my face. But she doesn't have the high-res files. I do / or I will. As soon as Cassie sends them, Noah's brow furrowed. So, I said, leaning forward, my eyes gleaming, I'm a graphic designer. Remember, I spend 8 hours a day manipulating images, changing colors, fixing imperfections. Understanding dawned on Noah's face, followed by a slow, wicked grin. / Maya, he said, his voice full of admiration. That is the most evil, brilliant thing I have ever heard. She wanted to be the center of attention in every photo. I said, oh, she will be. She will most definitely be. The rest of the honeymoon was blissful. The rage had not disappeared, but it now had a purpose, a direction. It was no longer a destructive force, it was a creative one. The day we got home, tanned and happy, an email was waiting for me. / Subject, your wedding photos are here. It was from Cassie, a link to a beautiful online gallery of hundreds of photos, and a separate link to download the full, high-resolution files. I clicked through the gallery. And there she was, in photo after photo, standing next to me at the altar, posing with my family, laughing with the guests, a bride in white. Okay, I said to Noah, cracking my knuckles, it's time to go to work. I downloaded the massive zip file. I poured myself a large glass of wine, put on my favorite playlist, and opened the first photo in Adobe Photoshop. It was a group shot of the entire bridal party, me and my bridesmaids in our soft, sage green dresses, and Isabella standing at the end of the line, a smug smirk on her face, in her brilliant white gown. Hello, Isabella, I murmured to the screen. Let's find you a new dress, shall we? The next 2 weeks were my secret project, my masterpiece. By day, I worked on logos and branding for my clients. By night, I worked on my revenge. I became a digital seamstress of spite. My first task was choosing the color. It had to be perfect, not just a different color, but a hideous one, something that would clash with the soft, romantic palette of my wedding. Something that would make Isabella look solo and ridiculous. I tried a garish, hot pink. Too festive, I tried a muddy brown, too boring, and then I found it, on a color swatch website, in the depths of the ugliest palettes known to man. It was a shade of yellowish green / the color of baby food peas, the color of bile. Its official name was Pontoni 448C, often dubbed the ugliest color in the world. It was perfect. My process was meticulous. I was a professional, after all. For each of the 73 photos featuring Isabella, I followed the same steps. First, I would create a perfect, hair-fine mask around her dress. Every bit of lace, every seam, every shadow, it was painstaking work, requiring a steady hand and hours of zooming in and out. Second, I would apply the color replacement. I would flood the masked area with my chosen puke green. But that was the easy part. The real artistry was in making it look real. I adjusted the highlights and shadows on the dress to match the lighting of the photo. If she was standing in sunlight, I would add a warm, yellow tint to the highlights. If she was in the cool light of the reception hall, I would add a bluish cast to the shadows. I painstakingly painted in the subtle color reflections, so the green of her dress would cast a faint, Sickly glow on the arm of my brother standing next to her or on the polished dance floor. Beneath her feet, it was incredibly difficult and intensely, deeply satisfying with every click of my mouse. I was reclaiming my wedding day. I was correcting the record. I was painting over her malice with my own artistry. In some of the photos, I got creative. In one shot where she was preening for the camera, I subtly used the liquefy tool to make her train look slightly lopsided. In a photo of her toasting with a champagne flute, I digitally added a small, almost unnoticeable lipstick smudge to her front tooth. These were my little grace notes, my artist's signature. Noah would bring me snacks and wine as I worked late into the night. He'd peek over my shoulder at my screen, my God. He'd say, shaking his head in awe, "You're an evil genius, and I love you more for it." Finally, after 2 weeks of secret, furious work, it was done. I had a folder of 73 perfectly edited, high-resolution photos. I had an album that told the truth, my truth. I uploaded the edited photos to a new online gallery. I designed a beautiful, animated slideshow. I even ordered a stunning, leather-bound wedding album from a high-end printer, filled with my corrected memories. The trap was set. All I needed was the occasion. It came in the form of an email from my mother. "Hi, darlings. We're having a little post-wedding family brunch to celebrate you both, and look at the photos. Can't wait to see them. Love. Mom." I smiled. It was showtime. The brunch was at my parents' house. The whole family was there. My parents, but my aunts and uncles, and of course Ethan and Isabella. Isabella was back to her usual self, holding court in the living room. Talking loudly about a recent promotion at her marketing job, she greeted me with a fake, airy kiss on the cheek. Maya, so good to see you. I am dying to see the photos. Cassie is such an amazing photographer. I think I looked pretty good, if I do say so myself. You definitely made an impression, I said, my voice sweet as poison. Noah squeezed my hand, a silent message of support. After we had eaten, my mother clapped her hands. Okay. Everyone, time for the main event. Maya has the photos ready for us to see. A buzz of excitement went through the room. Everyone settled onto the couches. Isabella took a prime spot right in the front, her face alight with eager vanity. She couldn't wait to see herself, immortalized in her beautiful white dress. I made a little slideshow, I announced, connecting my laptop to the large television screen. I hope you all like it. The slideshow began. The first few images were of the venue. The flowers, the rings, all met with appreciative oohs and ahs. Then came a picture of Noah and his groomsmen. A picture of me with my bridesmaids, and then the first family photo, all of us, standing together outside the church, me and Noah in the middle, my parents, his parents, and on the end, Ethan and Isabella. She was wearing the most god-awful, sickly, pea-soup green dress I had ever seen. A confused silence fell over the room. My Aunt Carol squinted at the screen. "Isabella, dear," she said slowly. I don't remember you wearing that color." Isabella was just staring at the screen, her mouth hanging open, her face a mask of disbelief. The slideshow continued. Another group shot. There it was again, the hideous green dress. Another picture, this one a candid of her laughing with one of my cousins, green. The father-daughter dance with her and Ethan visible. In the background, green, green, green. With every photo, her face got paler and paler. Finally, a close-up of her and Ethan appeared. She looked directly at the camera, smug and self-satisfied. Except that her dress was the color of pond scum. She shot to her feet. "What is this?" she shrieked, her voice cracking. "This is not what I wore. What did you do?" I turned to her. My face a perfect picture of innocent confusion. "What do you mean, Isabella? That's the dress you wore. We all saw you." I did not wear a disgusting green dress, she screamed, her eyes wild. I wore white, a beautiful, white lace dress. A collective gasp went through the room, the admission. The proud, defiant confession hung in the air. My mother looked at her, horrified. You told us it was ivory, she whispered. Isabella ignored her, her fury completely focused on me. You did this. You photoshopped them, you hateful little bitch. Ethan jumped up. Izzy, calm down. He turned to me. Maya, what is going on? That's not the dress she wore. It was white. Was it? I asked, raising an eyebrow. I pulled out my phone. That's funny, because I have the original file right here. I airplayed my phone screen to the television. On the left side of the screen was the original photo, with Isabella in her glorious white bridal gown. On the right side was my edited version, with her in the puke green monstrosity. A perfect, side-by-side comparison, the proof, the motive, the execution. You're right. Isabella, I said, my voice clear and cold, carrying to every corner of the silent room. You didn't wear a hideous green dress, you wore a white one. You deliberately and maliciously tried to upstage me and ruin my wedding day. You disrespected me, my husband, and our entire family. So, yes, I corrected the historical record. I spent 16 hours editing 73 photos to reflect the ugliness of your actions. You wanted to be the center of attention. Well, congratulations. Here you are. The room was utterly silent. No one could speak. Isabella's face, stripped of its righteous fury, had crumpled into a mask of pure, humiliated rage. Ethan looked back and forth between the two photos on the screen, the truth of his wife's malice finally, undeniably laid bare. The gaslighting was over, the show was over, and I had a beautiful wedding album to prove it. The explosion that followed was biblical. Isabella devolved into a screaming, sobbing mess. A tantrum of a toddler in the body of a 30-year-old woman, but this time, her tears weren't a weapon. They were just the pathetic fizzle of a firework after the grand finale. Ethan tried to usher her out of the house, his face pale and clammy. But my father, a man I had never seen truly angry in my life, stood up. No, he said, his voice a low, commanding rumble that silenced the room. He wasn't looking at me. He was looking at his son. You don't leave, you stay, and you listen. He turned his gaze to Isabella, who was hiccuping through her sobs. For years, we have welcomed you into this family. We have tolerated your disrespect, your little cruelties, your constant need for drama. We did it for the sake of our son. We did it for the sake of peace. We were wrong. He looked at Ethan. And you have been a coward. You have stood by, time and time again, while your wife has insulted your sister. You stood by and watched her walk into your sister's wedding dressed as a bride, and you asked her to be the bigger person. Your loyalty is misplaced, and it has cost you. It has cost all of us. Ethan just stood there, his shoulders slumped, looking utterly broken. He had no defense. The visual evidence was still glowing on the television screen, a monument to his failure. That day marked a seismic shift in the topography of my family. The old lines were erased, new ones were drawn. Ethan and Isabella left without another word. The brunch ended in a flurry of quiet, supportive hugs for me and Noah, and looks of pity and disgust directed at the empty space where my brother and his wife had been. The next few weeks were quiet. I got along. Rambling email from Ethan, it was a mess of apologies, excuses, and self-flagellation. He admitted he'd been enabling Isabella for years, that he was scared of her anger, scared of being alone. He said he was going to insist they go to counseling. He said he was sorry, so deeply sorry, for not protecting me. I didn't reply right away. I needed time. The leather-bound wedding album I had ordered arrived in the mail. Noah and I looked through it together. It was beautiful. Page after page of happy memories, of love and laughter, and on every page where she appeared, Isabella was a glaring, puke-green monument to her own folly. You know, Noah said, tracing a finger over one of the edited photos, it's kind of perfect. It tells the whole story, not just the happy parts, but the real parts too, the story of how my wife is a brilliant, badass artist of justice. I laughed, a real, genuine laugh. He was right. I had taken her ugliest action and turned it into something that was, in its own way, beautiful. It was my story, my art, my truth. I finally called Ethan back. The conversation was stilted and painful, but it was honest. I love you. I told him, you're my brother, but I will not have her in my home, and I will not pretend that what she did is okay. The boundary is drawn. It's up to you whether you want to cross it to my side or stay on hers. It was the beginning of a long road for him. For us. I don't know if his marriage will survive. I don't know if my relationship with him will ever be what it once was. But as I sit here, in the beautiful, peaceful home I share with my husband, I look at my wedding album on the coffee table, and I feel no regret. I see a picture of me, smiling at my husband, radiant in my own white dress, and in the background, a flash of hideous green, a reminder that I am the one who gets to choose the colors. I am the one who curates the memories, and my life, from now on, will be a masterpiece of my own design.